Yes, now people, welcome back to another YouTube video on the Will's Health YouTube channel. And this one, we're going to be talking a little bit about gut dysbiosis, what you need to do for it, what it is, your gut microbiome, keeping it very basic and very simple of what you guys can start doing. And of course, this is part of the multi-layered pillar framework, which I use, gut bacteria, to help people improve their gut health and improve their IBS. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail on that. So if you guys are not new around here, you can just skip forward into the video, into the value, right? But if you are new around here, my name is Will. I significantly improve people's IBS in 12 weeks using my multi-layered pillared system, which is what I kind of showed you here. Now, obviously, I've been through this myself. I've got some before and after photos. If you are interested, you can see all the symptoms that I deal with, and I can tell you with pretty much full confidence that I don't deal with any of these symptoms anymore, or at least on a very, very low level. So I help people deal with that as well. Obviously, go follow my TikToks, Instagram if you want more short form content as well. But yes, and of course, now I am very fortunate to be able to help people all around the world in UK, Ireland, Dubai, Australia, getting results for people all the time. Again, using my framework, which I've built out using my own journey as well throughout the years. Now, if you want to see these testimonials, they'll be on my Instagram, so you can go follow that, which will be in my bio. Also, a lot of nice messages telling people how effective the system is. So, but enough about who I am. Let's talk a little bit more about what we're here for, which is to go a little bit more about into the gut microbiome, which I have quite a bit in my. Where are we? Here we are in the gut bacteria stage. Now, what dysbiosis actually means is just an imbalance of gut bacteria. It's very common, right? An imbalance of gut bacteria, and that's something that we need to address. Now, there are three types of dysbiosis. There is a lack of beneficial bacteria, which you think about, if you're very new to this, it's just about all the little bugs and bacteria that are in your stomach, right? You have trillions of them. That makes up your gut microbiome. And when there's an issue, dysbiosis, that's when you can get gut health related symptoms because they're very important. Okay, so again, you can have a lack of beneficial bacteria. You can have a lack of diversity, so you need a lot of different variants of bacteria in your stomach, and you can also have an overgrowth of harmful bacteria. Those are the three main types of dysbiosis. Specifically, knowing if you are dealing with dysbiosis is hard, right? Because a lot of the symptoms are very overlapping, and they can happen with other things as well. So it's quite hard to know if you're specifically dealing with this unless you get a test. However, you can also have a look at your tongue. And this is an actionable step that I recommend most people go and do. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, have a look at your tongue first thing, right? Don't brush it, have a look and see what it looks like. Is there a healthy, normal red looking tongue, or is there a coating? Is there a white patchy coating? What does it look like? And that could be a big indication of this dysbiosis, especially with candida. That could be a big indication if there's a white coating that usually links to candida, but could just mean general dysbiosis as well. So have a look at your tongue, have a look what's going on there. Then also try to brush it. If it just quickly comes off, then that's fine. If it's more of a stubborn coating and it stays and it reappears throughout the day, then yeah, a really big sign that you could be dealing with some dysbiosis, and you do need to do these steps, which I am talking about. And if you're sat there wondering, well, do I have dysbiosis? I don't know. Why don't you just do things to help? Because a lot of people have dysbiosis, especially if you've taken antibiotics. All right. Here are some of the main reasons why. I think antibiotics is probably going to be the biggest reason why, just because antibiotics doesn't choose which bacteria it goes and kills. It just goes in and just wipes everything out, right? If you're dealing with some sort of infection, it's just going to go in and wreak havoc on the gut, destroy all the bacteria, including the beneficial ones. And that's probably going to lead you with a lack of diversity and then a lack of beneficial. And that actually leads to an environment where overgrowth can happen. So a lot of the times you just get all three. It's not like you have one or the other. Usually it all comes as a package deal. Of course, there are a bunch of other reasons why you might get issues. Of course, poor lifestyle, poor diet, infections might cause issues, inflammation, obesity, stress, and toxins. Okay, if this sounds anything like you, then you probably want to deal with your gut microbiome. I think even if you have a pretty good microbiome, it's probably good to do some things anyway, just to keep things on top of it. But yeah, I mean, if you've had any antibiotics, and for me personally, I had so many antibiotics. Right, when I was younger, I was ill, and this is one of the biggest reasons why why I was struggling so much, and one of the main reasons why I looked like where is it? Look like this, right? Look like this. I couldn't gain weight, struggling because I had so many antibiotics. So my gut microbiome was just finished. And you can see I actually did a hair sample test, which could see your microbiome. And you can see here, this was my official test. Everything was just low, apart from this Bifidobacterium strain, but everything was just low. And this was one of the major reasons why I was getting all those symptoms, because my gut microbiome was just finished. So again, if you've had antibiotics, you need to be doing something about it. Now, these are all the things that dysbiosis can cause. Like, I don't think I need to instate how important the gut microbiome is. In fact, you don't even need to know why it's so important. Just do stuff for it and you'll feel better. These are all the things that could possibly happen, and it probably makes sense with your IBS or gut health symptoms, right? It all probably links up, and you can pause the video if you want to have a look as well. I'm just randomly stating that antibiotics is going to cause an issue. I mean, there's studies on this, right? There's official studies that do show that there is a lot of collateral damage, and antibiotics disrupt the microbiome balance. We know this, so we need to do stuff to improve. Okay. And the issue of dysbiosis is it leads to a lot of knock-on effects. All right, you need beneficial bacteria to produce microbiome metabolites, and one example of that would be butyrate. And butyrate is the fuel that your cells need. Right, the fuel that your cells need in your gut lining. If you're not producing enough butyrate, you get leaky gut. So dysbiosis, leaky gut, inflammation, it causes a whole host of issues. So this is why it's so important. And again, a lot of other positive metabolites that come from having good bacteria as well. So we need to make sure our gut microbiome is in a good place. And it's actually very healthy to have a little bit of negative bacteria, harmful bacteria. You have around 85, 90% good bacteria and 10 to 15 harmful bacteria. It's almost like this little war that's going on in your microbiome. And that's fine, having a little bit bad overgrowth. It's just that when this harmful bacteria overgrows, then of course that's a type of dysbiosis that we need to deal with. And that can include H. pylori and Candida and SIBO. Now, I have a whole video on H. pylori. I don't have one on Candida yet, but one might be coming soon if you guys want it. SIBO as well. I think I have a couple of videos talking about that. So if that's the case for you, then you have an overgrowth of harmful bacteria. So you need to maybe watch those videos and deal with that. Loss of beneficial and a lack of diversity. There are four main, like a multi-layered approach is seen as best, right? And there are four main categories of bacteria that you need to be aware of, essentially. And that's going to be Bifidobacterium, that's going to be Lactobacillus, that's going to be Bacillus strains, so like soil-based probiotics, and then also Saccharomyces boulardii, which is actually a yeast, It's not technically a bacteria, right? And if you're able to get all four of these, then you're in a pretty good position. Now, honestly, the easiest thing you could do is just find a probiotic that contains Bacillus strains, right? These survive the stomach acid, very resilient. They help crowd out bad bacteria and drive any positive bacteria even further. So if you're looking to recondition your gut, I've seen so many people seeing such significant improvements by just taking a spore-based probiotic, like a mega probiotic or Just Thrive. These are all ones that contain bacillus, and especially if you have antibiotics, this is going to be the best to recondition your gut, right? One of my absolute favorites is just doing that. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Like literally, that's it. Get a good supplement with bacillus, then Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus. Again, you could get a supplement with that. But a lot of the times, these are the two types that are in fermented food. So if you took a good quality bacillus-based probiotic like Megasporobiotic, and then had some fermented food, and then if you wanted to add in Saccharomyces boulardii as well, then you could. If you had Candida or even SIBO, then I heavily recommend that you do Saccharomyces boulardii, just because it seems to be the most effective, and it is the best and the most effective if you are dealing with SIBO. It has a lot of positive benefits to help with the overgrowth of the bacteria in your small intestine, and it's not going to contribute because again, it's a yeast, right? So it's not going to fuel the SIBO like Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium can do. Some people can feel worse on those two strains if they have SIBO, so that is usually the better type. And honestly, guys, that's all it really is. We could go into detail of like what specific bacteria do what and what it's really important for, but it's not even that essential. Like as long as you just get do a multi-layered approach of all four of these strains, you'll be in a pretty solid position. Again, if you have any overgrowths, you probably want to deal with that first. If you have H. pylori, you probably want to do some antimicrobials. Of course, have a good framework and work with someone to do that. But you probably want to deal with that first before you start rebuilding, reconditioning the gut for most people. And I don't really know if there's anything else I'm missing. Of course, I can go into more detail, but I wanted to keep it really simple for you guys. And again, if you need any help with this, by the way, just go into the top link of my description and I can build out a program and a plan for you for what you specifically need across all your gut health. And there's a bunch I can kind of talk over if there's anything else that you guys need to learn about. But I think let's keep it really simple, guys. Let's keep it really simple. If you do the multi-layered approach and got all four of those variants in, I think you're going to be in a very good position. And I've done a test now, and I'm back to normal almost because I've replenished. But I just never knew that this was a thing. Of course, getting sufficient fiber in. Now, fiber is an interesting one because it feeds the microbes in your gut. So what I call it is a double-edged sword. If your microbiome is messed up, you have SIBO or any other overgrowths, fiber can actually make you feel worse, which is why a lot of people do report feeling worse on fiber. This doesn't make any sense. But obviously, yes, you do want to be getting fiber in. For most people, it might be good to restrict it for some time being if you are dealing with an issue here. But in the long run, you do need to get your fiber in, especially for, as I mentioned before, butyrate, right? The reason that your microbiome makes butyrate is because it ferments fibers. So give it the fiber, it can ferment it, make butyrate, and then it can actually be good for leaky gut and your overall gut health as well. So fibers are very important. I actually have an image of it here if you guys are interested, just because certain fibers create short chain fatty acids, and that's going to help your gut health overall. And also just have a good lifestyle, like get out in the sun. There's even, I don't know if I have it here, but there's even a study to show that sunlight exposure helps improve your gut microbiome as well. So like, don't underestimate the power of, eating clean and do the basics, guys, as well, do the basics. But this would be really important if you are dealing with dysbiosis. And if someone told me this like years ago, just do this, I've been like so easy. I just didn't even know what this meant. I didn't even know what was going on. But hopefully you can like order a good spore-based probiotic, get your fermented food in. Hopefully you can tolerate it well. Start slow. Get Saccharomyces boulardii if you feel like you need it. You have SIBO. You just even for most people it might be good. And honestly, that's all you kind of need. And obviously you can go a little bit deeper with certain strains, as I mentioned before. But yeah, just do that and you'll be good. All right, appreciate you guys. Any other questions that you guys have in terms of this, let me know, and I can answer them in the comments. Anything else you want me to go over as well, let me know and I can do that for you guys. All right. Appreciate you tuning in. Until the next one. Goodbye.